Hello amazing music teachers, this is Pam Wilson from Music in the Center. In today's video we're going to talk about setting expectations. When you are doing music centers, you need to set the expectations so that the students will actually do what it is that you want them to do at the centers. You need to set these expectations every single time you do centers. Trust me, if I forget to set these expectations each day, each time we do it, something happens and the kids forget that there are certain things that they need to be doing. So let's go through 4 simple expectations that you can set that will help your children get the most out of your centers. Rule number 1 is stay with your center. This is also stay with your group, but stay with your center. Now, why would that be an expectation? When I first started doing centers, I noticed that kids got very curious about what other people were doing, or worried about what other people were doing, or wanting to do that activity now instead of the one that they are assigned to do at this time. That distracts everybody in the room. So they're up, they're wandering around, they're getting a drink, they're getting a pencil, they're getting a whatever. And I learned really quickly to make sure that everything at that center has what they need so that there's no reason for them to go and bother other people. I understand that children get curious. They do. This is why you say these are all the amazing things that you're going to do, and you will do all of the things. Don't worry about it. First rule is stay with your group. Also, a later rule is about helping. So if you're not with your group, how can you help? How can you learn? How can you do the thing that you are supposed to be doing and learning and experiencing and practicing at this center? So rule number 1 is stay with your group. Rule number 2 is do your best. Every child comes into your class with different ability levels. We know this. Every child has their own, little things that make it difficult for them to do well in music class. We know this as well. Some of them have a lot of difficulties. We've got kids with ADHD. We have kids with autism spectrum. We have kids with physical disabilities. We have kids who don't speak the language. So we have lots of different things that we're overcoming as we use these centers. It's one of the advantages of using centers, actually, because you can go around center to center and kind of keeping an eye on those kids who you know need a little bit of extra help, and you can give them that extra help. So we want to set the expectation that at each given center, we want them to do their best. If you are teaching the center to them ahead of time, then you can remind them of how to do the activity. If you're using a task card where they have directions of what to do at the center, remind them to read the directions before they start the activity. Some of you have even gone to the advanced center level where you've created video of what they're supposed to do at the center, and maybe even have an iPad with a video at the center showing them what to do. So whichever way that is, make sure that they review the activity and then do the best that they can do. Some of them will master it and get it done very quickly, and some of them will take the whole time and need support from their teammates, their group mates, and maybe even from you to be able to complete the activity successfully. But every single child can do their best. Expectation 3, or rule 3, is be helpful. This is one that I've just recently added as a rule, although I've always talked about it. I've noticed recently that a lot of the kids are so used to doing things by themselves, for themselves, with themselves, that they forget there is a small group of children around them that maybe they can interact with. Imagine that. So they can do a puzzle together. They could even talk about what they're coloring together. They can do a worksheet together and help each other. They're like, oh, we can help each other? Yes, this is the whole idea of centers, is to help each other. Absolutely. So encouraging them to collaborate and support each other and help each other. Because again, you have kids on all different levels. You've got kids who have been taking piano lessons since they were 4, and then you've got kids who've never done anything with music in their life. I just met some new students, for example, who came from a state where they don't have music education in their school. So We're going to need to get them up to speed a little bit. And that's what help each other is all about. So rule number 3 is be helpful. All right, expectation or rule 4 is clean up. Yes, indeed. You have taken time to set out the centers and make them look all beautiful. And then as kids rotate through the centers, sometimes they get messy. But I do not allow them to rotate to the next center until everything is cleaned up. That is a huge expectation. I explain before we ever start centers, we talk about how it's not fair if your center looks beautiful when you first get there, and then the next people have to like figure out what kind of crazy stuff is happening here when they get there. So we have to reset the center exactly the way it was when you first got there. Some teachers have even gone to the extent of taking a picture of each of the centers and leaving it there by the center that says, this is what it should look like when you leave. You know your students. You know what you need to do in order to make sure that they can comply with that particular rule. This rule is really about creating community and caring for each other as a learning community. So we get an activity that is fun and enjoyable, and then we leave it for the next group and we make sure that they have the same opportunity that we have. So I always teach them to clean up before rotating. One last thing about cleaning up is I have a signal that is the cleanup signal, not the rotating signal. So when I have my timer, I usually use my phone to time the activities. When it is time to clean up, I have a gong. The kids love the gong of cleanup. And I hit that gong and they know that means that they need to clean up. If you have a center that's particularly messy, you might give them a moment or two's head start in cleaning up. So just go to that center quietly and say, we're going to start cleaning up in just a minute, but this one takes a little bit longer. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit more time. Then we're not all waiting for that one center that's just taking forever to clean up. Come on, you guys, clean up. So you give them a little bit of a fair chance. Let's go over those rules one more time before we go. So rule number 1 is stay with your center. Rule number 2 is do your best. Rule number 3 is be helpful. And rule number 4 is clean up. If your children can follow these rules, all of the centers will be more enjoyable and more effective for all of your kids, and they'll get the most out of it and have a really great day. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe and hit the notify button so that you know when all the new videos come out.